Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on Glutathione Authority. I know we had a little bit of time off over the Easter holidays. I was actually raring to go, but he left town, so I didn't think you guys were going to want to just see me by myself, because I'm not really the Glutathione Authority. I'm just like the assistant to the Glutathione Authority.
You missed a big opportunity there, just to take over.
Oh, you're totally right. Next time I'm going to hijack this.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys all had an absolutely fantastic Easter with your family. I had an orphan Easter over here because it's just kind of, you know, my boyfriend Scott and my 18-year-old son and I. So I was like, I'm going to invite a bunch of orphans over.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so a bunch of friends who didn't have family in town, or, you know, doesn't really have a relationship like their family with, like I don't, you know, sad people like us. I'm just kidding. I'm super happy. It's a good thing. So I invited them over and we had an amazing, beautiful turkey dinner and played Cards Against Humanity and laughed a lot, and it was just fantastic. So, and then I didn't get to have my niece and nephew over, but they did come over yesterday with my sister, and I got to see them for the first time since Christmas. So
very cool.
I feel like I got 2 Easters in a row almost.
Yeah.
How was? Oh wait, hold on a second. Let's properly introduce the Glutathione Authority, and then he can tell us about his amazing Easter weekend, because I know he got some snuggles. So, in case you guys don't know, because I know that there are some new people that are joining us, this is Alan Ogden. He is the Glutathione Authority, and just so that you understand why he is the authority, he has a degree in pharmacology, which is way more badass than pharmacists. I'm just kidding, I love pharmacists too. But pharmacologists are formulators, so they really understand what the body is composed of and how to make medicine naturopathically from plants and herbs and things that you find growing in the earth. So the other great thing that he has is 4 nutritional degrees. He has a degree in geriatric medicine and a degree in energy medicine. The last one makes me love him the most. So, and on top of that, 40 plus years of knowledge and education and history working with people. So he is just an incredible wealth of knowledge, and I feel very blessed to be sitting beside him. So welcome, Alan Ogden, Mr. Glutathione Authority. Thank you so much for joining me at the table tonight. I did miss you last weekend. So how was your Easter weekend?
You know, it was fantastic. We flew out of here on Thursday. We went to Edmonton, Alberta.
Nice.
It was beautiful, and it was extremely sunny. It was quite cold, but we kind of expected that. But we weren't really worried about that because we did have all 4 of our grandkids. We had both of our kids. We had our daughter-in-law, and we had such a great time over Easter. It was just amazing. We went to the Science Center in Edmonton. We went swimming. Grandpa did the water slides.
Nice. What?
You know, like grandpas are just supposed to be able to do that. It's like, hey, Grandpa, come on, we're going to the water slide.
On what planet?
So we did the water slides, and we just really had a lot of fun. Plus, we caught our oldest granddaughter, who's a figure skater. She had her last event of before they have a big break right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we were there for that.
Aww. Yeah, I've seen her. She's like the perfect lanky little figure skater. The only challenge is that she might end up tall.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that one. But she's doing incredibly well.
She's doing really good. She's doing really good, and she really loves it. That's like it's so cool to see something like here's the deal. She's 8 years old, but she knows already that when she gets acknowledged, it's her that did it, right? Like it's like this is something I did, and it's really cool. So she's still a little confused when she did get a medal, gold medal for her performance, and she was a little confused why everybody didn't get one. Right? So there's still a little of that in her, which is really good. She's very non-competitive, but I have to say that about her whole club. And their whole club is coached by Ravi. Everybody would know Ravi from the Olympics. He's the coach of Caitlin Osmond. And so that's the school she goes to. And he has a real cool way of just bringing everybody together. And speaking of bringing everybody together, I do want to acknowledge my nephew, Chris Neurotter, who lost one of his best friends in the Humboldt bus accident tragedy. And
Yeah,
our
so
condolences
sad.
to all the families affected by that. And if you're from the United States and you didn't read USA Today or the Washington Post and did not hear about it, we did on Friday night have a tremendous tragedy in Canada where a team bus collided with a semi-trailer truck, and there was 29 people on the bus, 15 of them did not survive. And one of those was my nephew's when he played hockey, it was his teammate, and he was one of the assistant coaches on the Humboldt Broncos. So our condolences to everyone involved in that. I think it's pretty much touched every corner of Canada with the players, including a player from Quebec, all across Canada, and certainly everybody in that community. And if you have a son or a daughter that is involved in sports, you know that they cannot succeed to any level unless they get in a van or a bus and go somewhere.
Yeah.
And we went through that for many years with our son, watching him get on the basketball van and take off and come home in the middle of the night, and that's just what it is. And as parents, you always expect the best. You just expect the best.
Of
So
course.
something like that is just such a huge shock to everyone. So our condolences to all of them.
I pretty much rely on everyone to tell me the news because I'm just typically not the person that likes to follow constant negative network, and it's really amazing how I can completely avoid the news and yet somehow not avoid the news because my clients always tell me what's going on, and my friends tell me what's going on. All the major stuff that I need to know, everybody always tells me because everybody loves to gossip, right?
Well, we're attracted to negative, unfortunately. Anyway, I want to introduce my partner here. We don't want to miss
But
that.
I do want to give respect, though, for the people who were lost and the families and everybody who knew the people that were on that bus. It is a horrible tragedy when something like that happens that you're not expecting. So I really appreciate you calling that out and telling me about that because that's something that, people should know. And we need to, take a moment and say a prayer for the families and everybody who lost those people on that bus.
Yeah, it's really an incredible thing. And we actually watched the vigil last night. It's the very first time I've ever done that in my life, but because we had a family member attached to that, we did watch the vigil. It was very moving. The thing I really appreciated about it is there was really some significant political people there who just sat in the crowd. They did not take any of the stage time. They weren't there for their own agenda. No one was really there for anything other than helping these people heal and helping them feel like they were loved and supported, and it's so important at a time like that. So
Absolutely.
It was really well done. It was really well done.
Okay, now you can introduce me.
So sitting next to me is probably just one of the most amazing people I've met. I meet a lot of people. I want you to know that I do meet a lot of people, and I'm constantly amazed at the people I meet and the qualities they bring, the experiences of life they've had. When I met Harmony, basically she was not functioning, and I think you have to agree with that, right?
Yeah, that's
just not functioning.
Pretty legit. My brain was shut down.
So the person I met then was one of the people that I got into what I'm doing for, was to help them get out of pain. And that's really ultimately my signature thing, was help people get out of pain. And I met Harmony. She was in excruciating pain. She'd been in a major car accident. Not only was she in physical pain, but she was in emotional pain because her son was no longer living with her at that time. He had been taken away from her under some really bad circumstances. And so that probably was hurting just as badly.
Oh, absolutely.
If not worse.
Yeah, and I didn't have a functioning brain to cope either.
To cope with that. So I got her taking some collagen protein first, which helped her brain, and then we got her on amino acids. So what we're gonna do tonight is we're gonna review for you the difference between glutathione and precursor amino acids that allow your body to make glutathione. And no one better to help me do that than Harmony, because she's been through the experience. And then I watched her after she got her brain back. She's taken body code, emotion code, clinical hypnotherapy, pranic healing. She really threw herself into this, and she literally runs our Facebook page. She does all of the posting. I do send some suggestions to her for posting, but she does the posting, she schedules it, she answers a lot of your questions for you, and I get the credit, which is really cool. You can keep that up. No worries there. Appreciate that. But as a team, we have really come together, and we both have the same aim, which is literally if there's something out there that people don't know about that could help them in their experience, whatever they're experiencing right now, we want to bring that to their attention. And tonight when I sent the message to Harmony and she agreed, because there's so many new people, and you probably haven't watched our videos that we started 2 years ago on glutathione. So I wanted to just review for people. So get your pen and your paper out. We're going to do a really in-depth review of what glutathione is, and then the differences of products available in the marketplace, and why that's significant, and why that's significant to you and your healing as you're moving forward.
Okay, while they're getting their pens and paper, can I play show and tell really quick?
Absolutely.
You guys, for all of you guys who know me, you know I'm obsessed with tea and everything, like around tea, right? Like the teaspoons and the teacups, and okay. So I decided like about a week ago that I was going to treat myself because I hadn't bought myself a new teacup in a while. And typically I buy my teacups like at the flea market and stuff because you can find some really beautiful teacups and you don't spend a lot of money. But I was just like, snuggled with Scotty on the couch, and I'm cruising on Etsy, and I find this really beautiful cup, and I decide to buy it. And I figure it's just your average teacup, right? Like something this size? No, I'm just kidding. That's huge. It's not. That's bigger than your average teacup. But I just got a cup in the mail today, and I thought I knew how big it was, but I want the cameraman to show you guys my new teacup. Okay, this is from Bavaria, Germany. So it's a really spectacular teacup.
Holy moly.
But it's a little mini mite.
Wow. What? That's not even an espresso size.
No, it's not even an espresso size. This is actually a teacup, but I think it's more for like, I don't know, a cat or like a bird or like I think it's just like,
I think it's decoration.
Or maybe it's like for, the little girl so that she can like have tea with mommy and daddy and she can feel like she's a big girl now. But the pattern is absolutely spectacular, and I don't know if you guys know anything about Bavaria, Germany, but it was actually the last part of Germany to hold on and stay a country for the longest. And Bavaria has got beautiful, beautiful history. They're actually the snobbiest German people in the whole country. So
Bavarian Motorworks.
Yeah, really, really spectacular. But the Germans, just so you guys know, before we start talking glutathione, were the first Europeans to figure out how to make China. So up until that point, it was the Chinese who were making it, and then a Lord Augustine actually hired a chemist to figure out how to do it, and it took about 8 years, and then Mezin was created in Germany in the 1700s, and they started in a castle until the manufacturing plant in the castle got too large, and then they actually moved into a proper plant where they still are today, 300 years later, making China.
Wow.
And the Mezin China gets double blown. So they're like, not only are we going to figure this out, but we're going to do it better than the Chinese. And so they double blow it and hand paint it, and it is still hand painted and double blown and everything just like it was 300 years ago. So if you guys really want to get some beautiful China, look up Mezin. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, so I hope you guys are ready to take some notes and talk about some amazing health stuff. I just wanted to take a moment and play show and tell because it's the cutest little teacup I've ever got.
It's so cute. It's actually really beautiful.
Yeah, it's a spectacular teacup, but it's totally a one-sipper.
Yeah. That's what's interesting. I was when I went to the Glutathione Symposium in New York a couple of years ago. It was at the Harvard Club after with some of the people, and Teddy Roosevelt had a special coffee cup made at the Harvard Club because he called their coffee cups 2-sip cups. So I assume they're about that big.
Yeah.
So when you go there, actually they will sometimes give you a gift. I got one. I got this huge coffee cup. It's bigger than this, and that's the Teddy Roosevelt cup. It's called a Teddy cup, and was made specifically for Teddy Roosevelt.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
Isn't it really neat when you really get into the history of something? I mean, I'm just as passionate about glutathione and all things health just as much as I am with tea. In fact, I found out you can become a tea sommelier, so that's on my list of certifications to get, just so you know, because now that I have my brain back and I have the fuel that I need for my brain to work, I am in love with learning.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So glutathione, if you don't know how to spell it, you could just check Glutathione Authority. I think we spelled it right there.
I think so.
So.
I've done it a few times, so.
It is kind of hard to, when you first hear the word glutathione, it's like, wow, whoever comes up with those words. But it's like most scientific words, we actually intentionally make them hard so we can talk behind your back. That's actually why pharmacist language, doctor language is so hard, because you know, we don't want to say stuff in front of you that's going to frighten you, really. So we use language that you can't understand. But glutathione is actually a very simple molecule in your body. It's 3 amino acids put together. But those 3 amino acids are actually the motherboard for life. I'm just going to say that. I would call it the molecule of life, but it's actually more than that, because it is a molecule. But it's actually the motherboard for life. And if you've heard Harmony talk about glutathione and heard her analogy of the electrical box in your basement with, you know, a whole bunch of switches, and some of them can be on and some of them can be off, that's really true. It's also, the reason I like calling it the motherboard of life is you could take glutathione and put it on a chalkboard like that, and then you could just draw lines, and you could start literally drawing lines to different diseases, and you would get over 100. So you'd have 100 lines from this one molecule, 100 diseases that all have one common denominator, which is low glutathione. And that's why this has become so important. As a matter of fact, it's so important that there's a petition before the FDA in the United States to actually make optimizing your glutathione, using what we're going to talk about tonight and teach you about tonight, using that methodology, making it medical protocol. In other words, if you go to the doctor and you have any one of those 100 illnesses, chronic illnesses, one of the things they will advise you to do is optimize your glutathione, and it's going to be in a particular way, which we're going to talk to you about tonight. So this molecule first occurred 3.5 billion years ago. I remember it well. Just seeing how people would react, right?
I just want you guys to understand that he's literally Benjamin Button. He's aging backwards. He's just like stopped the aging process altogether. So he's been around since the beginning, right?
Yes, since the beginning. So it was actually first identified with single cell organisms. So when we would find these single cell organisms, they still exist. This is the crazy thing. When I took my microbiology class, I actually almost became a microbiologist because I was so enamored with the fact that organisms, like one-cell organisms that we call germs or we call bacteria, we call different things, they've literally been around since the beginning of time. And actually, we would not have Earth as we know it today if it were not for the single-cell organisms that are still on the Earth today. 90% of our human DNA is actually encoded in bacteria that lives in our body and on our body.
Yeah.
So the idea that we should live bacteria-free is a very silly notion. And you might have remembered a few years ago they had, you know, those hand sanitizers everywhere you would go.
Oh yeah.
It was a real rage, and people were trying to, and we found out that we're actually damaging our intestinal flora by using the hand sanitizers. We were actually damaging our human DNA encoding in the bacteria, and so you see that there's a lot of places where those aren't used any longer. And that's one of the reasons why, is because bacteria is essential for the planet, and it's essential for us as human beings. One of the things it's really essential for, and we're finding this out really now as our oceans are more and more polluted, is bacteria is the thing that's going to save our oceans. Certain kinds of bacteria that can eat plastic, certain kinds of bacteria that can actually digest sewage. You know, we live in this province, and it's still amazing to me that the capital of our province pumps raw sewage into the ocean.
Yeah, that's insane.
In 2018, is still pumping raw sewage into the ocean. And I'm surprised there's not people over in that area, the environmentalists with their signs protesting and tromping around and making big protests about the fact that, we still are allowed to dump raw sewage into the ocean. And
there are amazing children and stuff like that that are doing great projects and stuff to clean up the ocean and everything. Like, it just blows my mind what the younger generation is coming up with, you know? So, and I really think the millennials are doing some fantastic stuff to clean up the earth by doing, car sharing and, you know what I mean? Like, it blows my mind. They're just going, you know what? I feel like the previous generation just didn't care. And they're doing some amazing things. So I think the future of our earth is actually in some pretty good hands from what we're seeing coming with the future generations.
Well, and I think we're going to see that in health as well. And one of the things that stimulated that is the fact, like, when I went to university and graduated my first degree was in 1978 when I graduated. And in 1988 was the next one, 1996 was the next one, 2003, 4, and 5. And then I did my pharmacy update in 2014, 2015. So I, continue to keep myself abreast of what's going on. But, one of the, when I first started practicing pharmacy years ago, people would come into the store and they would say, do you have something for that? And they would mean a pill, potion, lotion, some artificial substance that would immediately have an effect.
Yeah.
And I can say that in the 40 years that I've been involved in the industry, when people come into the store now and say, do you have something for that? They're actually asking for an alternative. Is there something natural? Is there something that I can take outside of a drug that would be as useful or even maybe more useful than the drug would be? And that's a really big change. And that's driven a lot by the fact that in spite of the fact that we have so many drugs available to us, in North America, disease is out of control. So a quote from one of my very, very favorite gentlemen, Dr. Ben Johnson, MD. If you haven't ever heard him speak, he's fantastic. If he ever comes anywhere close to where you live and he's speaking, you need to go hear him. Either he or Dr. Bruce Lipton, either one of those people, they will literally turn your life upside down and how you think about health and life. Dr. Ben Johnson had a great quote, and it's this: with all of the great medicine and the great interventions and things that we can do, it's still up to your immune system to keep you on this planet. And what controls our immune system is this one molecule, the molecule of life, or the motherboard of life, glutathione. So it literally, it started with single-cell organisms. It has evolved as organisms became more organized. Glutathione actually became more organized. It became more involved in that organism, and it started to do more and more things. Now, I'm not going to speculate as to why or how that happened. It just happened, and we can literally trace that back, and to the point where her glutathione and my glutathione are different glutathione.
But we're so much alike, it makes no sense.
It makes sense, yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. So it's just really, this is what's fascinating about this molecule.
Well, everything about us, when you think about it, is unique.
Everything.
I mean, I can't, if I eat chicken, my body is going to process it differently than if you eat the same exact chicken. Our eyes are the same, our facial features are the same, even down to, doing aesthetics and doing eyelashes and stuff. When I was doing that for, more than a decade, every single person's set of eyelashes, the way that they are, the length of them, the thickness of them, how many they have, some have layers, some just have one straight line. They're all individual. So it's like we're similar, but at the same time, so complex and so unique. So why would we expect our glutathione to be uniform and to be the same across the board?
That's such a great thing to say. Why would we expect? And then why would we think that we could literally, science says, well, we can just take that molecule, we'll manufacture it outside of the body, and we'll put it back in your body, and it's going to do this job for you. So, just what you're saying, how individual we are, but that's what science wants to do. Science wants to, and even in health, you mentioned that years ago I learned how to make things. I actually learned how to take extracts out of leaves and bark and make compounds and creams and even suppositories. So if you need a
My favorite. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I used to love those when I was a kid, and I was puking so
does.
much I couldn't keep anything down. I have bad memories from that as a child. Oh.
Everybody loves them. I learned how to make them. And yay! So
it is an amazing talent to have, though, to have that understanding, and I think that's what makes the knowledge that you have so incredibly unique. Is you literally have the practical knowledge from learning so much about how the body is made and what is in the body, and then what the plants and everything are made of, and how to extract the medicine out of the plants to be able to support the body healing itself.
Yeah, you know, I mean, recently they discovered we have a cannabinoid system in our body, like we have a lymphatic system, and so it makes sense that cannabinoids would contribute to our health, right? It just makes logical sense. So
for people who don't know what cannabinoids are,
they're different oils from the cannabis plant.
There you go.
Yes. So cannabinoids have been extensively researched at the University of British Columbia here, and cannabinoid oils. There's multiple oils, by the way. There's many, many different kinds of oils. You're going to see a lot of this. It's kind of the wild west of medicine right now. It will come under severe regulation in the very near future. If you're thinking about getting involved in that, just keep that in mind. There will be regulations applied to that in the near future, but we have a cannabinoid system, like our lymphatic system and our endocrine system in our body. So there's something that in nature, cannabinoids, which were banned for years and years and years, and are now coming back, and they will take their place historically in our healthcare practice. Glutathione was literally, I'm going to say it wasn't really banned. It was just ignored. That's a better word. It was ignored. Because the theory was we get our glutathione from our mom. So when you're born and your mom breastfeeds you, you get your glutathione in that first 8 hours of breastfeeding. You get the majority of it, then you do get some for about 36 hours. But the big bulk of your glutathione comes in the first 8 hours. So
for men who haven't, married somebody and had a kid and all the rest of that, that's essentially the colostrum. It's what the mother is feeding the baby within the first 3 days, and the colostrum is actually like a clear fluid. And then when the milk comes in, I'm having memories. All of a sudden you're super engorged and everything hurts, and you're cold, warm compress, shower. Oh, it's very different. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Memories in your memories. Anyway, so
yeah, exactly. Memories in my memories. That is such a good joke, Ellen.
So
who knew? The Glutathione Authority had a sense of humor. Right. He's amazing.
So
you get your glutathione stored. Essentially, you're supposed to get it from your mother in the first 8 hours, and so they figure that you're getting what you need, so you're good.
Right. Yeah. So and then we're supposed to recycle it. So we get it. Most of it's stored in our liver, and our liver is sort of the brand management system here. The really unique thing about glutathione and the 3 amino acids it's made out of, there's one amino acid called cysteine. We have no absorption mechanism as humans. So it's the limiting factor. It becomes actually the limiting factor in our immune system. And if we go back to Dr. Ben Johnson's statement, immunity is the only thing that's keeping us on the planet, then that one amino acid actually becomes the limiting factor to our quality and length of life. So is glutathione important? Only if you want to understand that you can potentially manipulate your quality and length of life. In animal studies, optimizing glutathione using the amino acid method, not using molecular glutathione, which we're going to talk about, using the amino acid method actually increased lifespan 30 to 50%.
Not 0 to 30%.
Not 0 to 30.
Minimum 30.
Minimum 30 to 50%. So in animal models, when we look at animals, when we optimize their glutathione, their lifespan goes up considerably.
They were totally walking the runway because they looked so young and hot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's really cool. So what about humans? Have we done any studies in humans? Well, humans are a little more skeptical than animals. Let's just say that. we can take animals and we can say to them we want to do it. We just put them somewhere and we're going to do a study on them, and they cooperate. But with humans, it's a little more difficult. Now, we have just done a study on this beautiful purple product here called Immunity and autism. You're going to hear the results of that in the next couple of weeks. We're going to have, and it's been really good. But just optimizing glutathione. So there actually has been many human clinical trials that have been done over the years optimizing glutathione in different disease states. And I'm going to say in just practically every case, optimizing glutathione using the amino acid method, or I'm going to call it the immunological method, the genetic immune method, has shown to extend life and increase quality of life. It doesn't happen with molecular glutathione. So what's molecular glutathione? It's essentially anything that is labeled glutathione. So if you look at the label of something, so if you look at the label of this, if you look down this here, you will not see glutathione on this anywhere. If you were to look down this and see glutathione, that means it has exogenous, outside the body made glutathione. It could come from vegetables, it can come from some other source, but it came outside of your body. If it's on the label, that means it's molecular glutathione. If you're getting it in a spray, if you're getting it in a cream, if you're getting it in a capsule, if you're getting it in an IV, you're getting molecular glutathione.
Yeah.
At the cell membrane level, there's 98% resistance to allowing that glutathione into your cell. What happens?
But why?
Because it's not yours.
But that's glutathione, and I have glutathione in my body, so like it should just work.
We don't have that's a great question. On your cell, for anything to get into your cell, you have to have a receptor site. So, for insulin, for instance, insulin is something that will unlock your cell membranes and allow sugar into your, and this is really simple, but allow sugar into your cell where it can then be used for energy. Everything except sperm has a methodology to pass through cell membrane, and we still, to this day, do not understand how sperm and eggs get together, because there's no receptor site. They pass through, there's no hole going through, there's no hole after, there's no sign of how that happens. It's still a medical mystery. Everything else on the planet has, if it's going to get into your cell, it has to have a methodology. It either uses the fat, so like toxins, for instance, will attach to fat. And fat, because your cell membrane has quite a bit of fat in it, that will allow that to go through your cell membrane. Amino acids and nutrients that our body needs to make it healthy, we have receptor sites. So there's no receptor site for glutathione on our cell membrane. So it has to be deconstructed into the 3 amino acids. Then they have to reach a receptor site all at the same time, the receptor site that actually triggers the manufacture of glutathione, and it has to process that. So there's a big resistance to using molecular glutathione. Now, molecular glutathione does have activity in the blood, and if you do happen to stumble onto PubMed sometime in the 136,000 articles on glutathione that you might want to look up sometime when you have a question about glutathione, just go to pubmed.org and type in glutathione and whatever it is you're looking for. That'd be a really good thing. You'll find there's lots of information there, but you will find negative information about glutathione and the treatment of cancer and other things where glutathione has been shown to interfere with treatment modalities for those diseases. They're talking about molecular glutathione. They're not talking about the amino acid methodology for manufacturing glutathione.
So once you break down the amino acids, once the body breaks down these amino acids into the puzzle pieces, what are the chances that those puzzle pieces are actually going to be put back together and turn into glutathione? That's
a really great question. Cysteine, the molecule amino acid cysteine, has a specific, it itself has a specific process that's involved in the detoxification, cellular detox, is controlled by the amino acid cysteine. So it's highly regulated. The level of cysteine in your cell is highly regulated, and excess cysteine is quickly removed from the body because it will interfere with the actual detoxification of a cell. So the chances of it getting rebuilt and being molecular glutathione. Now, once again, you can attach glutathione to fat. Some of that will get inside the cell, but it's still not going to be, still has to be reduced and regenerated within the cell. So just understand that molecular glutathione does have some activity in the blood. It will have a little bit of cellular activity, but ultimately using amino acids, which is what nature does, there's no resistance in the body to using that at all. The other really cool thing about it is because it's genetically controlled, the amino acid methodology is genetically controlled. It has a couple of enzymes that are involved in it that need to be triggered to actually manufacture glutathione. So there's a limit, there's a rate limit, a governor on this, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
But glutathione, optimizing glutathione in your body is dependent on two things. One, the amount of amino acids that you take, and the consistency with which you take those amino acids. So once our immune system, this is still part of what's going on in all the research with those 100 diseases, is when we optimize glutathione, we'll see many of the symptoms of a particular disease disappear. If we discontinue the treatment, in other words, if we stop taking the amino acids, we'll see a return of the symptomology. So there's something that has happened integral to the health of your immune system. It's been damaged in some way that we don't understand yet. But if you optimize glutathione, your immune system will act as if that has not happened. So it's sort of like if you had a run in your nylon and you had a way to cover that run, nobody could see it, but the run is still there, right? That's what it's like.
I usually use clear nail polish.
Clear nail polish. Okay.
That's the secret.
That really sticks to my hair.
Yeah.
So optimizing glutathione using amino acids. So you'll see in this, there's amino acids. You'll see in other preparations, there's actually amino acids.
I don't know if you guys can see on the back of the label here.
Yeah, it's a little tiny. But what you'll see is the blend there, which contains glycine, glutamine, and cysteine, C-Y-S-T-I-N-E, cysteine, instead of cysteine, because that actually is more attracted to the cellular receptor site, where it divides into two molecules of cysteine in the process of manufacturing glutathione. So it's very potent. It's more potent. It's 2.5 times as potent as the drug N-acetylcysteine. Clinical trials have shown that. So making that change, giving that amino acid as a bonded molecule, putting two of them together and sending it to the cell membrane is much more active at optimizing glutathione than just using amino acids. So this is a really cool thing. So
just to really quickly give an example, because this is incredibly important for people to understand the difference between how potent using the amino acids is in comparison to molecular glutathione. So the predecessor to the immunity was Vera, and it had the molecular glutathione in it. And I was using that when I first discovered how to optimize my glutathione to support the continued healing process of my concussion. And like Alan said, I was using the amino acids, right? The Provita. So we were using this, which was the collagen protein chews, which really started the healing process.
Right.
It supported my brain being able to physically repair itself, but it has all of the types of collagen that the body needs to be able to literally get to work and to have the fuel that it needs to repair, and then also the physical elements. It's absolutely amazing. That being said, when I turned to Alan and I said, what do I do now? Because I start in the morning pain-free. By the afternoon, I'm in pain because I'm using my brain. And he goes, well, we need glutathione. And this is how the molecular glutathione ended up in the Vera in the first place. And it was absolutely amazing. And there were great results. And I know some people didn't necessarily love the flavor. I didn't care because my brain needed it. And I don't care how something tastes. when my body needs it. And I really noticed that it really supported me, but I still was like, there's something else. Because when I would push my brain really hard, I was like, what do I need to take things to the next level? Because it's not really getting the job done.
Right.
And I'll let you guys in on a little secret. You guys wouldn't notice this because you don't hang around Alan as much as I do, but he used to tell me stories over and over again, and I would totally pretend like I was hearing it for the first time when he was using molecular glutathione, okay? So then we got our hands on the precursor amino acids, and then both of us started taking it at the same time. I literally got my brain back. Like, I got my brain, my sense of humor came back. My boyfriend was like, oh geez, here we go. But that's when I was really able to push my brain. And that's when I started educating myself and was able to go back to school and become a hypnotherapist again and do the energy healing and do all that stuff and push myself intellectually to the capacity that I'm able to now. And it was literally the precursor amino acids that did that. And it was like that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I noticed within about a month of us taking it, I was out in the car with Alan and he was telling me this story about this speaker that spoke like 20 years ago, and he remembered his name and all of this stuff, and I was like, okay, he leveled up. His brain totally leveled up. So I was like, okay, I just have to tell you something. And he's like, what? And I'm like, so you were kind of like telling me stories like multiple times, and I was just pretending that I was hearing it for the first time. And I feel like I can tell you this now because you're not doing that anymore. And you're accessing information from like 20 years prior. So not only did I get my brain back and it's functioning at an amazing capacity, but I'm in my 30s. So it's expected that I should be able to have that kind of functionality, still being not that far from my prime. But for somebody who's just turned 65, to have a brain that is like quick, like a whip, and to have access to information from 20 years ago and stuff, and to be able to keep up like it's nothing but a thing and be in his prime, I feel like that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. You know, I noticed the difference immediately as well. Although I didn't realize I was telling you stories over and over again.
I totally didn't say anything.
I know.
Not till it was better.
Yeah. Thank goodness we found something to make me better.
Yeah.
So I had been taking amino acid formula before. It was made out of a whey protein, and it was very, very difficult and not very nice to use. And regardless, it did help my brain. So for those of you who don't know, I had a near fatal brain infection, and that's it was a rogue virus that got into my brain. So no medical treatment. There's no antiviral. There's no antibiotic. There was nothing except cross your fingers. And that's actually how I got introduced to optimizing my glutathione in the first place. And I did that with a whey protein at the start. But I always felt like for most people, that's just so, it's very fine powder. It's very difficult to work with. Regardless of how potent it is, there's a limit to what people will do. And I just thought if I could find something else. So we came across the citric glutathione, we tried it, like you say, we did not get the same results. And then
it was good.
It was good.
But we knew there was something
yes,
next level.
It was next level. And you can't beat nature. That's what I'm going to say, is you just can't beat nature, how nature does stuff. And if we can work with how nature does stuff. So even you, using the collagen protein, giving you that in that there's 20 amino acids, giving you that assortment of amino acids in the ratio that they're in allows your body to select those amino acids and use them for the repair process. So most people are trying to repair without the amino acids, and you can't. Like, no. The purpose of a cell is actually to make protein, give you energy, and replicate itself. And so having the amino acids there for your body to use. So when you use this protein, you're actually not giving yourself collagen for a specific purpose. Your body's going to decide what that collagen is going to be used for. Yeah. It could be used for your eyes, which are 100% collagen. It could be used to repair your intestinal tract, which is mostly collagen. Your skin, your hair, a lot of other areas in your body. And you noticed your brain, right? Your pain
within 7 days.
Within 7 days, your pain
literally 2 a day for 7 days, and I woke up for the first time pain-free in over a year and a half. It was a miracle, And then after about 3 months, I found that I was able to plank and down dog and do all that kind of stuff without my wrist hurting. So the tendonitis from more than a decade of doing aesthetics all of a sudden was gone. So it went to my brain first, because obviously having a functioning brain is incredibly important, right? But then when it felt like it had done enough there, then it started to go to work on my wrist. So you're totally right. Like, it's going to go to whatever it is that's the most integral. And you guys might not necessarily feel what it is that's going on.
Right. The thing that you want.
It could be your thyroid, it could be your digestive system, it could be your skin. Like, there's all sorts of stuff that's going on internally that could be getting repaired, and you're not quite aware of what it is. So you really have to, with the collagen, unless you're in dire need like I was, you know, give it time to do its thing, you know, over a period of a few months, and see what happens, right?
Well, it's really interesting, because there's a really good clinical study that shows that you only need 2.5 grams of collagen protein to actually stimulate reparative effects in your skin and tissues, and those are 4 grams each. But I just want to make the point about amino acids, like why I got so excited when I found out about the ability of amino acids to totally affect my immune system, to totally affect my cognition, to totally affect my eyesight, my hair color. If you meet any of my brothers who are all older than I am, you will see very, very white-haired gentlemen, those who have hair. What hair they have is extremely white, and they have been that way since before. I am 65, and they were that way before they even hit, like in their late 50s, early 50s, mid 50s. They were white-headed. My grandfather, I always used to admire my grandfather because he had pretty much a full head of hair. At least I thought he did as a kid. But silky white hair. And my grandma, Ogden, she had this beautiful white hair. They were really the archetypical American couple. My grandma had the little round spectacles.
Oh my goodness, I'd love to see a picture of that.
Yeah, it's really cool. So they were. She was just this little lady, and he was a big farm guy, and just these white hair.
Nice.
And but glutathione actually allows your hair color, protects your hair color, it helps the melanin in your skin. It does so many things. Like it's almost, when you start talking to people about it, their first reaction is, "Really? Is it that good?" Like,
oh yeah.
That's a very, yeah, it is, because it's like this motherboard of your body's systems. It controls over 250 processes in your body that affect all of these different things that go on. There's a huge Russian study that was done with 16,000 people. This is not a small study. 16,000 people, and they showed that optimizing glutathione using amino acids prevented cataracts. It prevented macular degeneration. It prevented a lot of the eye diseases that people tend to go through with aging. And in my own particular case, when I first started optimizing my glutathione, my eyesight actually changed. I needed my glasses intensity reduced, and I have not needed a change in my eyeglass prescription in over a decade, which is really amazing. I don't know of anybody else, as their decades go on, that their eyeglass prescription is.
Absolutely not. And I'm totally cool with that, because he needs to stick around for a while, don't you guys think? Like, he can't go anywhere. So if he's figured out how to slow down the aging process, or even grind it to a halt, or even Benjamin Button and age backwards, I'm super cool with that. Okay, so let's just take a second and talk about why it is that glutathione is so incredibly powerful in helping to slow down the aging process.
Well, that's just such a super question. And aging, if you go look up aging, the very first thing you're going to see is aging is due to oxidation. So, simple example, cut an apple, set it on the table, it starts to turn brown. What is that? That's oxidation. Literally the same thing happens in our body. We oxidize. We're actually rusting. So the aging process is we're actually rusting.
Is that what the white is?
Yeah.
In humans, it's white, not brown.
Yeah. But that's literally what's going on. So your single cell in your body is actually, so imagine you're standing somewhere, and you have, there's glass on that door in front of us. Imagine if we were sitting here and we shot 10,000 pebbles a day at one of those people, and you know, they don't have to be really big, but just consistently 10,000 pebbles a day, how long would it take before that glass would break, right? It's going to break at some point, right? The consistency of the bombardment, and that's what's going on in your body with oxidative stress. It's the consistency of the bombardment against your cell walls and tissues that eventually leads to the breakdown. And so you will read that oxidative stress is the #1 cause of aging. And oxidative stress is controlled in your body by glutathione. Now, glutathione actually controls, this is something that a lot of people don't know, so they'll talk about taking antioxidants. And I'm not opposed to taking antioxidants. Astaxanthin, whatever you want to take.
All the big word stuff.
All the big word stuff. More words that we can talk about.
If it has a big word, take it, unless it's with a prescription.
Well, resveratrol, you know, that's big. Resveratrol was really huge for a while. It was really huge in a lot of communities because, you know, they thought it was really cardioprotective. They've actually since proven that it's not the resveratrol in the red wine that is cardioprotective in people in France. So anyway, resveratrol is a good antioxidant. Astaxanthin.
Blueberries are a good antioxidant.
There's lots of good antioxidants. They all, though, owe their ability to function to their optimal level in your body due to your glutathione level. So you can pump yourself full of antioxidants. And that's what I was doing. When I first had this brain infection, I was drinking antioxidants that, they used to have an ORAC score. We don't use it any longer. But it was a way to compare the antioxidant value of products. And so let's say blueberries. So a cup of blueberries has an antioxidant value of 8,000. I was taking stuff that literally a tablespoonful was 73,000. And I was taking that multiple times a day.
That sounds like a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot.
Not that people know what the ORAC score is or anything, but it sounds like a lot.
Yeah, so just, you know, people can visualize, you know, a cup of blueberries like that. And that's about 8,000 as an ORAC score or oxygen reduction score. And I was taking stuff that was multiple times that, almost 10 times that per tablespoon. And I was taking that many times a day just to get some relief in my brain. So, and it wouldn't stick. It wouldn't last. And I was like, what can we, like, I can't drink this. Like, this is very expensive for starters. And why would it not do the job? And then when I discovered glutathione, optimizing my glutathione, all of a sudden, I didn't have to do that anymore. I didn't have to take all those antioxidants. I still use antioxidants and B vitamins and things. I still use them. We have B vitamins in the immunity. But I still take those things, but I don't take them in any dosage compared to what I used to at all. And research has now shown us that actually doing what I was doing back there had long-term consequences in our body's ability to handle oxidative stress. So I'm glad I found that out.
So really quickly, I just want to break it down because I know that a lot of people tend to take antioxidants just because it's something that 10 years ago, you know, it was said is something that you should take. But I don't know if people really understand what an antioxidant is.
Sure. And
how an antioxidant functions in the body. Everybody's just like, well, antioxidants are good. I'm just going to eat them because everybody says they're good. So what is an antioxidant?
So in the chemical processes that go on in our body to make energy and make proteins, oxygen molecules or some other molecules that can be equally as damaging are released, and they're very unstable. So they're called free radicals. What a free radical is a molecule that has an electronic charge that it wants to neutralize very quickly. So for instance, if you take a molecule of oxygen, we know that it needs 2 molecules of hydrogen to make it into something neutral, which we call water. So if you get an unequal balance in the charge on a molecule, and it can be many molecules, but generally they'll have hydrogen or oxygen involved in there, sometimes carbon, but generally it's hydrogen, oxygen, that wants to neutralize itself. So it will go steal from your cell membrane, from your cardiovascular system. It's buzzing around. So this thing, it's like it has a sharp edge on it. It's like a shard of glass, starts buzzing around in your body, looking for how it can neutralize itself. And the average cell gets 10,000 of those shot at it per day. That's just the average, 10,000 per day. What antioxidants do is they provide a methodology for quickly neutralizing that free radical, that little molecule that you can think about as a little blade that's zipping around in your body, causing lots of damage. Actually, cholesterol is a response to, in your cardiovascular system, cholesterol is a response to millions of damage or millions of cells being damaged by these free radical molecules. So your body sends out cholesterol to try and prevent the damage, and then that cholesterol thickens on your cardiovascular system and causes its own problems. But high cholesterol is actually a sign that you have oxidative stress going on in your body, and you need to attack the oxidative stress, not necessarily the cholesterol. So that's what it does. It's just these molecules in the process. It's a natural process. We cannot prevent that process because we are oxygen consuming machines.
Yeah.
We need to breathe oxygen.
Yeah.
And oxygen is required for us to make energy, for us to make protein.
And you were saying this probably a couple of weeks ago, when cells are actually dividing and everything, it actually opens up and exposes the DNA, and in that period of time, it's actually exposed as well, right? Yeah,
that's where most of the cellular damage actually comes in, is when the cell goes to replicate and the DNA is exposed, free radicals and toxins, these molecules that need neutralization will very, very quickly come in and interrupt your DNA. And now you get a replicated cell that's damaged. We call it mutated. It's just damaged, and it can't be a healthy cell any longer. So one of the real purposes for optimizing your glutathione, if you're not feeling unhealthy at all, just remember that your cells are being bombarded every day, all day long by this stuff. And one of the really cool things about glutathione is that intercellular glutathione is actually what's enabling your healthy cells to stay healthy.
So that means there is glutathione in each and every one of the 72 trillion cells that you have in your body, actually supporting and contributing to the health of the individual cells. And that would be about 10% of the glutathione, right? That's in your cells. And it's really actually so brilliant that you brought that up, because Kim is actually just saying here that, do you feel that immunity is sufficient for optimizing glutathione if you're not suffering from any known low glutathione health issues? So you just totally answered her question.
So I'm gonna say this, like, if you're a really healthy person, you feel like you're really healthy, your body is still being attacked.
Yeah.
Good for you. It's not if, it's when something's gonna go wrong. And I think I can say that with just almost a surety, because, you know, I look at even my 90-year-old father-in-law, who's considered to be a very, very healthy individual.
Yeah.
He's healthy because he's living on 5 different drugs. So he's really not that healthy. Like, you know, the drugs are really helping to keep him alive. And when I look at him, like, his quality of life would increase dramatically. Even though he's farming, he goes out, he plows snow, he does all this activity, his quality of life would dramatically change if he would just take some glutathione. If he would just one supplement, optimize his one supplement. And so for people that are really healthy, the best way to stay really healthy, optimize your glutathione. That is absolutely the best thing. That's like life insurance for healthy cells.
Yeah, think about this more as a preventative tactic as opposed to something that you do after the fact.
Yeah,
so
it's a treatment.
If you really think about, I just want to contribute to this for a second, because North America has very much been taught to react after the car is broken down.
Right.
Let's just think about cars for a second. Think about your body as a car. Obviously, if you never get the oil changed, the engine is going to blow. It's going to seize and it's going to blow because it's going to run dry. And then it's for 10,000, whatever it's going to be to replace the engine if it blows, right? So we don't treat our cars that way. So why is it that we do that with our bodies? And if you think about a lot of the other countries, more Middle Eastern countries and Asian countries and stuff, they're significantly more preventative about their medicine and the way that they treat their bodies. They've got energy healing, and they've got reflexology and acupuncture and acupressure and all that stuff that they're actually doing, they're doing to keep themselves healthy. They do it on a regular basis. They go and see their practitioners to stay healthy, to make sure that all their meridians are flowing and all their chakras are flowing, and to make sure that everything's staying healthy and flowing and not waiting for something to break down. So just make a little bit of a paradigm shift and think about, okay, if I'm healthy already, then I'm in a great position.
Yeah, that's an awesome place.
Yeah, I want to stay right where I am right now. Like I want to stay right where I am right now. So I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to arm my body to keep it right where it is, instead of waiting until there's deterioration happening.
Yeah, it's so, taking collagen, like it's so simple to do. Collagen protein, a couple Provita a day and an immunity or two a day is such a dramatic contributor to your health. We quit making significant amounts of collagen when we hit 20. We quit making a lot of things. When we hit age 20, when we reach our full sort of body size, a lot of things start to slow down. And we literally can say that people in their 20s are already aging. Because, sadly, their skin is thinning, there's lots of things going on that they're not noticing. They're not symptomatic. By the way, you know that your liver can be only functioning at 5% and you still will not be symptomatic.
I said that today. Yeah, it's
your liver function can be extremely low.
Because my friend was telling me about how he knows a couple of guys that are in their 70s that are extreme alcoholics. And he doesn't know how they're still going, and they don't really complain or anything. And I said, it's because their livers they can literally get down to 5% functionality before they start complaining.
Yeah.
And by that point, it's too late.
Too late. So you might feel really good. The best way to stay there, absolutely optimize your glutathione. So
it's incredibly important. I mean, if you guys are, where I'm at, where you're, young and you're healthy, or, you're feeling really good, do everything that you can to stay there. And I would really challenge you guys to take a box of the immunity and do a month of it. And then I dare you to stop using it. See how long you last.
That's right.
Because when push comes to shove, it's really amazing how we get on this high and we feel really great. And then we kind of forget what it feels like to not feel so good. And then when you stop taking the products and all of a sudden you realize how you're slowing down and you're feeling lethargic and you don't have as much energy and your brain isn't functioning as well and all of that, you're like, whoa, hold on, I don't feel so good. What's going on? Oh, I'm not drinking the purple stuff. Well, it's not actually purple. It's kind of
pinky
orange, pink, but the purple box. You know what I mean? All of a sudden you'll realize, and once you get it in that, in that glass and you start drinking it, and your body's going to be like, hallelujah! Like, it's just amazing. I go a few days without it, and it's just my body sings when I get it back into my body. It just misses it so much.
I know that I was, we were instrumental in getting this product out in the market, and I have to say this actually humbly, to me, that is a revolutionary, innovative product. It's probably one of the most important products that's ever been launched into the marketplace. And I'm saying that from my 40 years experience, not my vested interest. I'm just saying it from the point of view of the experiences that people are having that are taking that product.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm just going to repeat this as we close. Optimizing glutathione is going to become a lifelong privilege, opportunity for you, because animal studies, and I'm sure human studies will eventually show, quality of life and length of life are literally tied to your level of glutathione. So knowing that, it just makes so much sense. It makes so much sense to optimize your glutathione.
Before we close, though, I really want to just touch again on, how incredibly important it is to be taking your glutathione on a consistent basis. Because it's not like when you breastfeed, right? And then you get your glutathione stores and then it's just going to recycle. I need to keep taking it, right?
Well, one of the reasons we really need to keep taking it is we not only quit producing collagen protein, but about age 40, 45, you're getting close to this.
Oh, what?
I know. Our liver, and nobody knows why. maybe they're genetically encoded, I don't know why, but our liver becomes less efficient at recycling glutathione. So you could still have, your 10 grams of glutathione in your body doing what it needs to do, but our liver actually becomes less efficient at recycling it. And we can optimize the recycling of it by adding the amino acid glycine, just getting the amino acids in the body. The body overriding all of that in our body. So we have this aging process that's going to sneak up on us, but overriding that is this desire by each cell in your body to be as healthy as it possibly can be. So ultimately, reversing, slowing down, anti-aging, whatever you want to call it, aging smart, etc., really boils down to feeding those systems that are slowing down and causing the symptoms of aging, feeding them the nutrients that we're not getting anymore.
Consistently.
It's
not once and then you're good.
No, because your body's going to keep this up, right? So you're going to need to keep this up to make up for that.
Yeah.
And that's, if you look at centenarians, which we did a big study in Canada in 2008, we looked at centenarians. The one thing that centenarians had all in common. Now, I want you to know, these people all had things going on. They're all over 100, but they still had things going on, but they lived to be 100. The one thing they had going on for them was they had levels of glutathione like 30-year-olds in their body. So in spite of all their other things that were going on, which were likely emotional, more emotionally controlled, they had high levels of glutathione. And we see that probably in these guys that are drinking alcohol. If we could measure their glutathione level, it probably amazes what their liver glutathione level is like.
Yeah.
And but for people, we're talking the bulk of people out there, to stay healthy, keep healthy, the one supplement, if you're going to take a supplement at all, I'd suggest 2, collagen protein and optimize your glutathione.
Absolutely. They work synergistically together. You just can't get better products. And on top of that, the thing that just makes it so incredibly easy is the fact that they taste so good. And the Probita is pocket protein. I just literally put it in my pocket and, take it to go. And, the immunity is so fantastic too, because it just comes in the little sachets and you can throw them in your purse. And if you feel like you need one, you can easily access it. I actually just recently introduced the collagen protein to a client of mine who is very badly injured. She has a herniated disc. Sorry, there's powder in my throat. So it was really, really fantastic because she actually had a product that she was taking and it was only one type of collagen.
Proline, they're usually proline.
Yeah, so she actually started, she was taking that. And typically what I do is I go over the products that my clients are taking, and then we use kinesiology to communicate with the body to find out how beneficial the supplements that they're taking are for them. So they're learning to communicate with their own body. And it was really amazing because the collagen that she had was actually really not very beneficial based on the fact that it was only one type of collagen. And she didn't even realize it because she just went to the drugstore or the naturopathic store or whatever, and they said, take this collagen, and she didn't know that there were multiple types of collagen that the body actually needed, and multiple amino acids, so she thought this is gonna be great. They said it's gonna make me heal. And then she realized that there was something else that had all of the amino acids in it, and then she started comparing and realized through kinesiology that one was about 2 out of 3, 2 out of 10 effective, and then all of a sudden the pocket protein was a 10 out of 10. Then, being the intellectual that she is, she went and did the research on it, and she was like, this is everything I need. This is literally everything that I need. Cool. And I went and did a whole bunch of research, and there is literally not another product on the market that has all of the amino acids in it that this does. It is unbelievable. She's like, as soon as I'm better and I'm in a space and everything like that, I'm thinking I'm gonna need to tell everybody about this. So she's like really, really excited about it. And I already know how amazing it is, but it's really fantastic to have somebody, who's already been sold something, go on their own journey and communicate with themselves, and then realize how beneficial it is through their own research and go, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I need. You guys, don't need to be sold by other people. Don't listen to what everybody else tells you. You have a way to communicate with yourself, to get all of the answers, to tell your body what you need. I tell my clients this all the time. You have all of the answers. You know everything that you need to know. All you have to do is tap into that resource to be able to know what is going to be the most effective for your body. And I'm telling you guys, I do this in the treatment room with my clients all the time. I make them bring all of their supplements and we muscle test them to see whether they are beneficial or not. And then we check on a scale of 1 to 10 how beneficial their supplements are. And then I bring these into the treatment room because I already know, because I've done it so many times, that they are a 10 out of 10. And I allow them through kinesiology to communicate with their own bodies. And they tell themselves that it is a 10 out of 10 and they can't deny it. So please have fun and muscle test and play with sugar and Splenda and all sorts of other stuff, and then get your Resi products and muscle test it using kinesiology and see what happens. So it's not just the facts. The facts are important, but in all reality, Alan's been researching this for how many years?
Too long.
A decade
Over
or
a
more.
decade.
And I've been researching this for going on 3 years now, and we have a lot of knowledge. But for those of you guys that are doing the best that you can to learn about this, but really are so occupied by so many other things, you can literally use this simple tool and allow the people that you're introducing the product to talk to their own bodies, to tell them what they need. I promise you, this is the best thing that you could possibly get for your body, and they will tell themselves. Muscle testing is a beautiful tool. I'm actually using it to sell the products, and it's fantastic because I don't actually have to sell it. They sell it to themselves. Yeah. So just a little bit of information for you guys. I really hope that this helps, and if you guys want to ask any questions post live event, you're more than welcome to ask us questions, and we will get back to you. And somebody was actually asking, am I going to be able to get a hold of this video after you guys shut down? Absolutely. It is going to be on the top of the Glutathione Authority page for the next week up until we do our next one. And you are welcome to share it and post it wherever you want. This information is open source, and please feel free to share it and everything. And if you have any questions, you can totally message us on the Glutathione Authority Facebook page, and we're happy to support you guys and get back to you. So now that there aren't any holidays or anything like that coming up really quickly, we will be back Monday, so a week from now, 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. And we hope that you guys have an absolutely fantastic week.
Yeah. Have a good
See
night.
you later, guys.
Bye.